Well, here we are with the Long Ranger, Rachel Schoutsen and Dr. Doug. And Doug, we can now talk about the weekend in the Long Ranger.
And into next week, a large storm system bringing a major pattern change as it sweeps across the country. We go from the heat wave to much cooler fall-like weather as the system goes by. High temperatures 15 degrees cooler behind the system.
Okay, so let's have a look at some of these temperatures here. You can see this. I love the comparison. Calgary at 16, Regina 27. So you can see that cool air is going to move further to the east.
Right, as we go into Sunday, Winnipeg going from 31 all the way down to 22 degrees. But meanwhile, again, ahead of the system, very warm and humid from the Great Lakes into Atlantic Canada.
So when we focus in on the story for Ontario, it's really the building heat and the building humidity.
The humidex values into the mid and upper 30s, see widespread upper 20s to lower 30s. As we go into Monday, though, we do see the cooler temperatures moving into the north, still hot and humid across the south, and same story as we go into Atlantic Canada. Moncton, 32 degrees.
Yeah, we don't see that too often. And we're also seeing very stable conditions for the Avalon as well, for example.
Finally, an extended period of summer temperatures for Newfoundland. Now, the transition between the cooler fall-like temperatures and the heat marked by this area of unsettled weather that will be coming across southern Ontario later Monday. And that front clears the Atlantic coast by the middle of the week.
Okay, so as we look at temperatures here, this is into Wednesday now, so almost a week away. We see a little bit of cooler weather coming back into play.
A couple days of cooler, less humid. This is not cold, but it'll feel better if you don't like the heat. And Atlantic Canada doesn't make a big impact on the temperatures, but a few degrees cooler. A brief warm up on the prairies, but another cool down for the end of the week. Meanwhile, the temperatures quickly rebound in southern Ontario.
Okay, before we go here, Doug, just our last picture. This is the late summer pattern.
Yeah, a lot of summer on the way for the end of August and early September for the Great Lakes.
All right, thanks, Doug.
One taste and you're in love.
All right, here we go. The things you need to know, and this episode featuring Leanna McLean, our web writer.
Hello.
Okay, Leanna, we're going to talk first about the Jays. Are you a Jays fan?
Yes, I've recently jumped on the Jays bandwagon, so I've been watching a few games.
Okay, so last night, big win for the Jays. Look how full the stadium was, 44,000 people.
That's incredible.
So we're going to tie baseball into weather right here. Tyler Hamilton, meteorologist behind the scenes. We have been talking about the dew point increasing, the humidity as well, and he mentioned that the moist air is actually less dense than dry air. So tonight at the Jays game, the ball could actually be traveling further.
That's really cool. Let's get the dew point going up.
Yeah, dew point's up. That's what we need for tonight's game. Okay, Leanne, I also want to talk about this story here that you put out on our website.
That's right. So Edmonton resident Cam McDonald recently posted this on Facebook. He says that he's seen this golden retriever in the van every day, all day, locked inside this car. And so he's been really bothered by it. So we went to Facebook, posted the photo, and people have just been outraged by this whole entire situation. They've actually called on the mayor and the Edmonton Humane Society to get involved with this situation. And they have now on change.org a new petition. And I think there's over 5,000 signatures trying to get people to get involved with this.
Wow, and when we see heat like the extreme heat we have across the prairies right now, no animal should ever be left in a car. Okay, the reason why we have Leanna here today is because we want to show you this quiz. This is going to be live on the Weather Network tomorrow. And of course, the Perseid meteor shower, it's amazing. So many people have been sending us wonderful photos on this. So let's do a little quiz, Leanna.
All right.
Okay, so how fast do meteors fly when they light up in the night sky? What do you think?
Okay, I'm no space guru, Scott Sutherland, but I'm going to guess about 30,000 miles per hour.
Okay, 30,000 here. Let me help you there. Let's click it. 30,000.
There we go.
Are we right?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, went right into the next one.
Went right into the next question. You'll have to go online at theweathernetwork.com to check this one out. But let's do this. Most meteoroids that come to the Earth's atmosphere do not reach the Earth's surface. True or false? I'm going to say false.
Okay.
Okay, false on this one. Oh, I'm wrong. The answer's true. Okay, see, I clearly need to brush up on some of this. One quick one before we go. Which Earth meteor shower is dependably one of the year's best shooting star displays? You'll have to head online to theweathernetwork.com tomorrow as this quiz goes live. Well, we'll start off with this first. It is the show in the sky, literally, the Perseid meteor shower, and people have been able to capture great photos of this, a beautiful night sky. You can see the Milky Way as well. Now let me show you the Perseid meteor shower and your chances of seeing it tonight. Yeah, this is like a week-long show, so if you've missed it, you potentially could see it again. Now, as we focus here in the GTA, a little more cloud cover tonight than what we did see last night. However, in comparison to some other places, I would love if you could tweet it to us or upload your photo to upload.theweathernetwork.com. Now, Michelle Mackey, she was outdoors today from blizzards to blue jays. Here she is. You got that right, Michelle. And when we look at our icons here, you can see even through this evening, thunderstorm potential is there day to day. And the potential for isolated and severe cells is there as well, with a cold front to the north. And we also have a trough passing through the south as well. A little bit of lake breeze convergence here. And this is where we could get a few spin-ups. Now, as we look at our systems here, you can see high pressure is generally in place, just that slight potential of seeing some of those storms. But as we play this through until Friday, notice some more moisture is going to start to come into play. You can start to see that, well, just about here. And this is with a cold front that's sort of going to stall itself out. Now, mosquitoes, well, what a trouble this time of year, right? Kelly Noseworthy has more on that. All right, Kelly, thank you so much for that. We'll be talking more about the Toronto forecast. Thanks for that one, Kelly. Now let's talk about baseball. How does baseball and weather tie together? Of course, the Blue Jays are a hot topic. We'll check in with Michelle Mackey in just a second here. She's got more on some of the Blue Jays excitement, but look at this here. Moist air is less dense than dry air. So up, the humidity is also building as well. So if we have some higher dew points, some more humidity in the atmosphere, well, the potential for that ball to travel a little further is there. That's how we can tie this all into weather. Now, Michelle Mackey, she was also checking out some of the excitement. Here she is.
Wear the sunscreen, especially on a day like today.
And the dome was open for the afternoon game today. Beautiful conditions. Now, the thunderstorm risk, it was there. East of Huron, the isolated and severe risk is there. And that's actually where we find Teviotdale. Now, as we look ahead here in through Thursday, the risk of thunderstorms, again, that does linger. The potential to see these, especially with the daytime heating that we have seen today. But look at Friday. You can see this organized rain here. That's going to be associated with a cold front that's coming through. And essentially, it's stalling out a little. So we could see a little more of a dreary day tomorrow. More cloud cover for sure. And the thunderstorm potential is going to be there as well. We're heating up too. The humidity is going to rise into the weekend. So again, good for those Blue Jays games. Now, as we look at that rainfall accumulation, and as we look at Phoenix here, 44 degrees, but we'll see the sunshine today. Fortunately, that active weather is taking a break for this afternoon. Great timing. We're going to talk about the thunderstorm risk. Get out to Michelle Mackey and your long ranger. But first, we'll start off here. The potential for thunderstorms is there, especially with the daytime heating that we are seeing today. Very spotty in nature. Greater chance is going to be right around the Bruce Peninsula. So, of course, monitoring that area and keeping an eye on the radar. We'll talk more about this coming up in the long ranger. But first, now we'll take you back home and talk about, well, the most livable city. Where do you think that is? Metropolis magazine says, yeah, it's in the city of Toronto. So if you're joining us from Toronto, you're living in the most livable city of 2015. They basically rated this on population. Read more about the full article on my Twitter. I actually just tweeted it out at Rachel Schoutsen. You can find it there. So let me now take you into the thunderstorm risk. The potential of seeing active weather is certainly there today. We could see a few pop-up cells. It really depends on the daytime heating. And so far, we are seeing a lot of sunshine coming into play. Now, I want to turn things over to Kelly Noseworthy. She has more on mosquitoes and climate change. All right, Kelly, we'll look forward to this one. Now, we'll take you here into the rainfall accumulation. Now, we're looking at a few millimeters of rain here. Tomorrow is going to be, let's say, the most overcast day. Risk of showers will linger. Now, I would love if you could stay with us here, because coming up next, we'll take a look at your perspective in our segment called Point of Viewer. To feature some of your photos or videos, all you have to do is go to upload.theweathernetwork.com. Thanks for being here with us. I want to feature this too, Miracle Treat Day. That's happening at Dairy Queen. And when you buy a Blizzard today, all of the proceeds go to local children's hospitals. So if you didn't need a reason to eat ice cream, here's one right now. And Michelle Mackey, well, she certainly took me up on the offer.
Well, Canada, the heat is on. It's the perfect kind of day to cool down with a tasty frozen treat, especially from Dairy Queen, because today is Miracle Treat Day at Dairy Queen. And that means when you buy a Blizzard, all of the proceeds go directly to the Children's Miracle Network. So if you needed an excuse to treat yourself, well, today is your day. Don't mind if I do.
My favorite is the mint Oreo. Just saying. Okay, let me get you into the thunderstorm risk. The potential is there, isolated and severe, especially around the Bruce Peninsula. That's where we're thinking it could be a hot spot today. For the GTA, quick to happen, quick to leave kind of storms. That's really what's in the forecast. Not too much moisture headed our way. As we look in through Friday, that's when a cold front's going to pass through us and sort of stall out in some ways as well. So this is going to bring in some more cloud cover and a higher chance of seeing some of those thunderstorms and just some scattered, sort of spotty showers as we get in through Friday. Now I want to turn things over to Kelly Noseworthy. She was out today and she was looking into a lot of different facts about mosquitoes. Here's another one. All right, Kelly, thanks for that one. Now we'll get you back into Friday here. You can see the widespread thunderstorm risks. Now I would love if you could stay with us here because coming up next, it's the things you need to know. And Leanna McLean, part of our web team, she also joins the show. Well, good to see you today. Thanks so much for watching the Weather Network. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. It is Thursday. It's August the 13th. And here's a look at our developing stories. This is what we'll be talking about today. The extreme heat. Yes, we'll see that today in many places across the country, actually in the prairies, in Ontario, through Quebec as well, a slight risk of seeing those thunderstorms. Now this here is a look at the radar, and you can see we're fairly calm this morning across the prairies, even into Alberta and BC. Not a big rain day. Into the afternoon, that's when things could really start to spark up further to the north. And then I also want to show you where we do have a special air quality statement. Essentially, we do have a low pushing in from the south. We do have some southerly winds with this, and the east portions of the Fraser Valley here, air quality advisories, and that's because of some of the wildfires that are burning to the south. Now that air has traveled further north up into your backyard. So just a heads up for today if you see that hazy sky. Now we'll take you into the prairies here where still special weather statements are in place for the heat warnings for northwestern Ontario as well. But by the time we get into Friday and Saturday, temperatures are going to be closer to 20 degrees. We'll have more of that marine influence coming through, and that's going to bring some of your temperatures down. Now, as we look into the interior, still a hot one, 40 degrees. That was the temperature in Lytton. And this afternoon across the prairies, you can see the heat certainly is still there. Let me show you Teviotdale quick. We've seen such good repairs out in Teviotdale. That's in Ontario. Now, I'll have more on this story coming up. Don't go anywhere. And now let's get into your national weather picture today. Chrissy Van's also going to join us in about 2 minutes to talk about the meteor shower. But first, let's look at this. This afternoon in BC yesterday, Lytton, BC, 40.2. It was the hot spot in all of the country here. Today in Vancouver, 27. We're feeling the temperature drop day by day, and tomorrow and into the weekend below seasonal. That's going to be the story. Now today with the thunderstorm risk, we are going to see that for places just around Revelstoke up to, let's say, Fort St. John, and then throughout northern Alberta, stretching in through northern Saskatchewan as well, and northwestern Ontario. Let me take you to Portage Prairie. Winnipeg was constantly in and out of those severe thunderstorm warnings. Now the risk that pushes a little more further to the east, more of an Ontario story, and Minnesota as well. Yesterday about softball-sized hail. Now as we look at some of the temperatures into this afternoon, it certainly is another day of seeing this extreme heat. 32s, 34s with the humidex, some places feeling like 40. When we look at Winnipeg, 31 into this afternoon with the humidex certainly closer to about 37 to 38. Now we do have some drier air. This is moving into Ontario through southern Ontario. A slight thunderstorm risk. That potential is going to be there, and lots of damage is done. Now, before I leave you, I want to take you out into the Atlantic. Yesterday, a very rainy day for the Maritimes. Today, that's all clearing out. And as we look, Newfoundland, we actually have special weather statements in place for some heat. Gander's going to be feeling like about 32 degrees today with the humidex. Same thing in St. John. So rain showers, yes, but the heat is certainly there. And as we look at the big picture here in terms of the heat, it's actually going to really start to die down as we get into this weekend across the prairies. Some cooler air is coming into play. Calgary, you'll be struggling to get up to 20. Now I want to turn things over to Chrissy Van. She has more on the meteor shower. Yeah, it's very true. Right now, we do have special air quality statements in place for eastern portions of the Fraser Valley, as we do have some southerly winds, and that's bringing up some smoke from the south. Now, thanks for joining us here on the Weather Network. I'm Rachel Schoutsen, and these here are our developing stories. More extreme heat, a pattern change equals cooling, and I'm sure many people will appreciate this one, and also the potential for severe weather. That is going to linger again today. We are looking at a thunderstorm risk. Now, I'll take you onto our radar, and you can see here light showers this morning for places across the prairies. Overall, it's not a big story in terms of the rainfall. We will have a thunderstorm potential as we get into later portions of the day. I'll talk about this in a second here. But again, this is that southerly flow, and that's what's bringing in the air quality advisory in through eastern portions of the Fraser Valley. Now you can see here on Friday. As for today, another hot one, 27 degrees for Vancouver. We will start to see more of a marine influence in terms of the airflow, and that's going to bring temperatures down Friday and in through Saturday. And then we're looking at slightly below seasonal. Now, I want to show you this here. Temperatures, it's another hot one, 37 degrees in Medicine Hat. And look how strong the winds were. I say, whoa, this is a heat wave. But what actually makes a heat wave a heat wave? In order to be in a heat wave, we need temperatures at 32 degrees or higher for at least 3 consecutive days. Now, and yeah, it certainly is a heat wave when we look at places like Medicine Hat or Lethbridge, even Regina as well. This is now the 4th day of seeing temperatures like this, 35, 33 in Winnipeg. Now, as we look ahead here into Friday, you can see the temperatures are really starting to come down. Even Edmonton at 23, that's the daytime high, or Saskatoon at 29. Now, Nicole Karkic has more on why the heat is being dropped and some cooler air is coming in. Thanks, Nicole, for that. And of course, this all coincides with the jet stream. Earlier, we had that big ridge. Now that's all breaking down. That's moving further to the east. And now we're going to start to see a trough coming through. So for Friday, yeah, the heat is still on for southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba, even northwestern Ontario. But this is all going to start to shift further to the east, and your temperatures will be brought down. We're also looking into the weekend at an active weekend in terms of some rainfall. Looks like central Saskatchewan, your heaviest rain day is going to be throughout the day on Saturday and Sunday, and then Winnipeg likely on Monday. That's when you'll be getting into some of those showers. So look at this here for Calgary. Nicole was just showing you this one. Look at that temperature drop. You 31, then down to 21 and 22 degrees. Tuesday, Monday into Tuesday, that's your next rain day. Now, before we leave you, I want to show you this. And now we'll take you into the system showdown. We'll show you everything going on across the country and how it's going to affect you. So thank you for watching the Weather Network. We're going to start off here out on the BC coast, and some rainfall is coming in. Not today. This is going to be a story in through Friday. So this low is going to start to develop, and this is going to bring rain throughout southern BC, the coast. Yeah, you'll see some rainfall, heavier amounts actually for the Okanagan. You could get up to around 20 millimeters of rain. And then this is also going to spill in through central Alberta as well. You can see Calgary, you're sort of just on the cusp of this one, but it is going to be a fairly rainy day, an overcast day for Alberta as we look into Friday. Now, we'll take you a little further east and we'll show you the prairies. High pressure is in place for today for the south, so we're staying dry, but to the north, we do have a slight thunderstorm potential. This low is also going to pass throughout the day on Friday, and that's going to heighten the thunderstorm risk as well. This is the risk areas for today, so we're not looking at a huge potential to see severe storms, but hail, strong winds, heavy downpours, that's all associated with these, and it extends from about Revelstoke up to Fort St. John and then over into northern Saskatchewan and also northwestern Ontario. You'll be included in this one as well. The story for Ontario today is fairly dry. We do have high pressure in place, but depending on how much daytime heating we get today, we do have a weak trough that's going to move through. This could spark up the thunderstorm potential. So you can see here, for the most part, fairly dry, but as we get into the later portions of the day, notice a little bit more moisture firing up. Same thing goes in through Friday as well. So the risk of seeing thunderstorms is there today, and some late rain showers in through Friday. Again, this story is sort of going to linger for a few days. More of an overcast day on Friday compared to today, especially in southern Ontario. But you can see here that isolated and severe risk. It lingers again in places like Tiviotdale that did experience a tornado last week, and then also up just north of Sudbury. This is where we do have the trough passing through, and then up to the north, this is the cold front. And then as we look at Friday, that cold front, it's sort of going to stall itself right towards the south, and that's what's going to bring in the risk of seeing those showers. Now, before we're done here, off into the Atlantic. Overall, pretty nice day today for the Maritimes, but we do have just almost like a wave of moisture going through here. And this is going to be bringing some showers in through the Avalon. We also have heat advisories in place because things are certainly heating up in through Newfoundland. Don't go anywhere. Chrissy has more with Share Your Weather, a camping feature. That's coming up. Well, here we are with the Long Ranger, Rachel Schoutsen and Dr. Doug. And Doug, we can now talk about the weekend in the Long Ranger.
And into next week, a large storm system bringing to much cooler fall-like weather as the system goes by. High temperatures 15 degrees cooler behind the system.
Okay, so let's have a look at some of these temperatures here. You can see this. I love the comparison. Calgary at 16, Regina 27. So you can see that cool air is going to move further to the east.
Right. As we go into Sunday, Winnipeg going from 31 all the way down to 22 degrees. But meanwhile, again, ahead of the system, very warm and humid from the Great Lakes into Atlantic Canada.
So when we focus in on the story for Ontario, it's really the building heat and the building humidity.
The humidex values into the mid and upper 30s, see widespread upper 20s to lower 30s. As we go into Monday, though, we do see the cooler temperatures moving into the north, still hot and humid across the south, and same story as we go into Atlantic Canada. Moncton, 32 degrees.
Yeah, we don't see that too often. And we're also seeing very stable conditions for the Avalon as well, for example.
Finally, an extended period of summer temperatures for Newfoundland. Now, the transition between the cooler fall-like temperatures and the heat marked by this area of unsettled weather that will be coming across southern Ontario later Monday, and that front clears the Atlantic coast by the middle of the week.
Okay, so as we look at temperatures here, this is into Wednesday now, so almost a week away. We see a little bit of cooler weather coming back into play.
A couple days of cooler, less humid. This is not cold, but it'll feel better if you don't like the heat. And Atlantic Canada doesn't make a big impact on the temperatures, but a few degrees cooler. A brief warm up on the prairies, but another cool down for the end of the week. Meanwhile, the temperatures quickly rebound in southern Ontario.
Okay, before we go here, Doug, just our last picture. This is the late summer pattern.
Yeah, a lot of summer on the way for the end of August and early September for the Great Lakes.
All right, thanks, Doug.
This weather segment has been brought to you by Lay's Potato Chips. One taste and you're in love.